My name is Briggs Irwin. I'm an addict in recovery, and this is my story. So I'm 23 years old. I grew up in Augusta, Kansas. Had a bit of a chaotic home life. My brother has a severe mental disability, so it was pretty hectic all the time. When I was in third grade, I had a friend that had cerebral palsy. I was best friends with him since kindergarten, and we did everything together. And he ended up passing away when I was in third grade. That left me with a pretty empty outlook on life. I was pretty lost, confused, didn't understand the point of even being alive. Also, I had underlying symptoms of bipolar 1, which I did not come to find out until I was in my early 20s to the full extent of what that would be. So throughout my whole childhood, my emotions and everything were up and down and sideways, and there's no explanation why. I hated myself, and I wanted to make everybody else feel the pain that I felt inside me. And when I was in middle school, I didn't make the basketball team, and right there I had a moment of, I don't fit in, I'm a wrestler, and completely had the feeling of separation from my friends. Ever since then, I was trying to fit in any way I could. I lost a sense of who I was and who I wanted to be, and decided to be what everyone wanted me to be to fit in with the cool kids. And I had a long-term girlfriend all through high school, and I completely treated her like crap, calling her the ugliest names, not giving her any attention, talking to other girls. I treated my friends like crap. I treated my families like crap. I just had this rage fueling inside me, and I just would unleash it on anybody I could. I got off on the power of controlling others and manipulating them any way that I was able to, and I was just a pretty sick young man. When I was 14, I tried alcohol for the first time, and when I got that little buzz, I was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. I finally felt a sense of peace, and drinking with others, I felt the sense that I belonged. A few years later, I got introduced to weed, and I was instantly hooked. A combination of feeling that void that was in my heart, and a combination of this is a stable feeling compared to the ups and downs I'm feeling from these bipolar 1 symptoms. I was on the hook and knew that this was going to be a problem. I continued to smoke weed every day as I was finishing up high school. I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like I had no hope. I had no reason to live. I was just completely empty and lost. I pushed away all my friends, everybody that was close to me throughout my childhood. Everybody could see from the outside what was going on, but as I'm so close to myself, I didn't see what was going on from their perspective. I continued to treat everybody like garbage, and I was seeking fulfillment in money, women, possessions, success, as in financial success, and looking to fill this void in my heart with all the wrong things. And it left me feeling empty and hopeless. And in 2021, my little brother, he got paralyzed from the chest down in a motocross accident. And this sent my depression off even worse. And it was selfish, but at the time I was thinking, why not me? Why did this happen to him? And just really had a terrible outlook on life, and it just made me sick to my stomach to see one of the people I love the most go through such a tragedy. I continue to use every single day. I'm just getting sicker. I had a lot of potential when I was young, but I decided to get high and seek all these external things and not have any true relationships. Everything kind of came crashing to a halt in 2022. I had my first real manic episode of psychosis, and I had a girlfriend at the time. I was getting ready to move into town from out of state. I was still living with my parents and working a job in landscaping and getting high every day. I thought I had it made. Everything's going good. And all of a sudden, the psychosis hits, and this guy you're talking to isn't here anymore. I genuinely believed that I was God. I quit smoking. I couldn't sleep. I was up for days. And for about a week, I went around town, this little town in Kansas, running around telling everybody that I was Jesus Christ, that I was God himself. And I had a 38 special in my waistband and ready to pull it out on people. I totally thought people were out to get me. Had all the blinds shut, was peeking out the window thinking people are watching me. At this point, I am sober. I'm just having a mental episode. So after about a week of running around town and causing havoc and driving like very unsafe, my parents had called the sheriff's office and they were going to take me to a mental institution the day before this happened. I was driving my Chevy Malibu. I was doing 110 down the turnpike and a truck cut me off and I slammed on the brakes and the car went spinning out of control. And I came up between the two cinder blocks in the median, and my car stopped about a foot away from that cinder block right there. And when I pulled off, I had no ABS system in my car, so all four of my tires had flat spots, and the car's like all jumping up and down. So the tires are junk. I'm about out of gas. I pull off the next exit, and there's a bright red Mustang sitting in the parking lot. And I look at this Mustang, and the voice in my head says, "Hey, God gave you that car." So I'm like, huh. I get out, open the door, the car's unlocked, and the keys are in it. And I get in, start it up, and once it starts, I get out, and there's a guy walking down the sidewalk, and I throw the keys to my little Malibu to the guy walking down the sidewalk and told him he got a new car. I cranked up the tunes on the Mustang and took off. And I was driving on the highway here in Wichita, and I came up to some traffic. There's a construction zone, and there's a 2-lane road, and the cars were backed up to a halt. I'm sitting there waiting in line, and 3 sheriffs passed me on the right shoulder with their lights on, going to an accident that was ahead. In my head, I thought it was an escort for me in my new Mustang. So I pull off, and I'm riding the tail of these cops on the highway as they're weaving in and out of traffic and having people move. And finally, the cop that was in front of me slams on his brakes, gets out, and tells me to get off his rear end. And as soon as he broke his neck to go back to a squad car, I took off and went around the ditch and pulled off in front of him, and the chase was on. Now Sedgwick County was chasing me, and I was just driving completely erratically. I was doing 80 to 100 miles an hour, passing people in the shoulder in the ditch. I ended up getting away from the Sedgwick County sheriffs, and they had called Bel Air, which is a little town outside of Wichita. I completely blew through the town. At 53rd and Rock Road, the car bottomed out and jumped like 15, 20 feet. And I somehow, by the grace of God, the car landed straight. And all that's there now is a couple lines in the road. I got away from Bel Air. I made it into Butler County. And a mile away from my parents' house where I was staying, because I was going to show them this new car I got, the car runs out of gas. So I go around asking all the neighbors for gas. Finally, I go to my parents' house asking for gas. And they're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I just ran from 7 cops." And they're like, "What the heck is going on?" So my aunt was at the house. So I'm walking back to go back to the Mustang, and my mom and my aunt show up, and they put me in handcuffs and call the sheriffs. And I still didn't understand that I did anything wrong at this point because I'm in psychosis. So they get me booked. As I'm looking out the window, they open the trunk on the Mustang, and they pull out an AR-15 and I believe a pistol as well. So now there's gun charges involved. They haul me off to Butler County. In booking, they're sitting down asking me questions, and they were like, "What are you on, dude? Like, you're acting like 5 different people." I was like, "Well, if I tell them that I'm sober right now, I'm going to a mental institute and probably not going to get out," is what I was thinking. So I told them I was on meth, and they believed me. They're expecting me to quarantine, but on day 3 out of 5, I was trying to commit suicide in the cell. So they pull me out, and I'm like, finally, I get to talk to some people. I've been locked up in here for 3 days. And they end up stripping me butt naked and throwing me in a cell with no windows and putting me in a turtle suit, which for those who don't know is like a little yellow vest. And I sat in this cell with nothing to do, just me and the toilet and sink for 10 days, completely going to the ends of insanity, literally scratching at the walls like something I would see in the movies. When they would open the little hole in the door to give me my food, I was trying to rip their arms off. I wanted to kill them. And finally, I get out of suicide watch, and they put me in protective custody. Now, on day 2 of being in protective custody, my cell was the one outside of the hole. And this guy in the hole one day snaps a broom and starts smashing all the glass on the door. I thought I had a great view of what was going on, so I'm sitting there peeking through the window. Oh, this is awesome. Well, sheriff's called backup. A bunch more come in. There's probably 10 of them, and they got the paintball guns and the vest on. This guy's saying he's gonna kill him, and they shoot the paintballs, and a couple of them go under my door, which they're pepper spray or mace or whatever it is, and I'm sitting there gasping for freaking air and trying to dig into the toilet to get some air out of there, or sticking my face up to the vent, just trying to breathe. I didn't have any sandals at the time, and there was a bunch of glass in front of my door, so I had to sit in there for a couple minutes. It was pretty rough. Finally, they get the door cleared, and I'm able to come out, and they drag me, still in the vest, to the showers, and they lock me in the shower. And once the room finally clears out, because the pepper spray had filled up the whole pod, they come and grab me. They had thrown a hot dog on the floor for me to eat, and I was livid, and I'm still in psychosis, so I think I'm gonna fight these people. And when they opened the door, they had the 2 biggest guards in the whole jail there, and I raised my fist up, and they grabbed me by my arms and threw me like 3 feet up in the air with my arms behind my back and dragged me across the floor, butt naked, across the whole pod. Now, at this point, I didn't know this until later, but my dad had reached out to one of his friends who's a pastor at a church, and there was a whole church full of people praying for me at the time. And slowly but surely, over a couple months, I started to slowly come down out of the psychosis. Eventually, although I was still having crazy thoughts, I was able to pass a psych evaluation, and my parents bonded me out. When I got out of jail, I was completely lost, broken, embarrassed. I had just ruined all the relationships I had ruined my finances. I thought my credit cards had unlimited money on them, so I was racking them up any way I could. Lost the girlfriend. She ended up having to do therapy after because it messed her up pretty bad. I was living in my parents' basement and didn't leave the house without my hood up. I was super ashamed, full of guilt, and I was hopeless. I was lost. I was confused. I had no purpose. And after about a year of staying at my parents' house and selling stuff online to get by and to keep getting high, I got out of jail. I lasted about 2 weeks before I got high again, and I continued using every single day while I'm living at my parents' house. Eventually, I was so sick and tired that I just wanted to be independent. I wanted to have my freedom back, and I wanted to be able to live on my own and take care of myself. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to treatment. I go to a treatment center here in Wichita. I do 30 days there, and I'm all gung-ho about it. And I get out of treatment and do absolutely nothing they told me to do. And the stuff I did do, I didn't do with the best of my abilities. I was just kind of floating by and doing what I needed to do to look good at the sober living house I went to. Eventually, on day 89 of my sobriety, I ended up using. The obsession fully came back. I wasn't working the program. I wasn't talking to my sponsor. I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't doing any of the stuff I was supposed to do. And I continued to live a lie. And I lived at this sober living house for 9 more months while I was high. And all I cared about was making more money and making more money. And that was it. Got the job, I got the car, got my stuff back, got my independence back. And it didn't fill that hole in my heart that I thought it was going to. And I continued to use. I was giving presentations at treatment centers and talking to fellow addicts like I was still in recovery and doing all the things that I'm supposed to do for my sober living house high. And I was sick and tired of living this lie. I eventually smoked myself so bad that I ended up in the hospital. Lost, confused, panic attacks, the guilt and shame was eating me alive. And I finally, by the grace of God, got to where I couldn't function at work, and that was where I drew the line. And I ended up going to another treatment center here in Wichita, and this time I was committed. I was ready to surrender everything. And while I was detoxing in that facility, I fully, with everything I had, gave my life to Jesus. And I did everything the program asked me to do. When I got out, I got into a really nice sober living program called Hope is Alive, a strict Christian program. And I've done everything they asked me to do. I pray and meditate. First and last thing I do every day is I thank God for removing my obsession with drugs and alcohol. And I thank Him for my sobriety and my sanity and the peace and joy and everything He gives me, because without Him, I would have nothing, and I would still feel empty, and I would have no satisfaction, and I'd have no purpose. I went from being completely lost and alone and hopeless to having a family of brothers and sisters in Christ overnight. I have a sponsor through AA. I have a spiritual mentor. I have a codependency sponsor. And these men guide me and are helping make me a better man each day. I'm able to reach out to them at any time of the day, and they can answer my questions, and they guide me and help me any way they can. My purpose today is to serve God, and by serving God, I serve anybody and everybody I can, and have completely given my will to Him. And in doing so, I have found satisfaction and joy and peace and sobriety that I never thought was possible, and that each one of you can have too, that are struggling with alcohol or substance abuse. So my purpose behind doing this interview is that if even one person who might be an addict or alcoholic, or anybody who's just struggling taking life on life's terms, gets anything out of this and has a glimmer of hope, then I feel the mission was complete. I feel a strong call in my heart to spread the strength and hope and courage in this world of people who have been through struggles and trials and have made it through. Nowadays, we have a lot of negative on social media and through the television of natural disasters, disease, crime, all these things going through the roof, but we don't hear a lot of stories about miracles. I can tell you from an addict's perspective, for me to have even 24 hours of sobriety was a miracle, and for me to keep walking this walk every single day is a true miracle, because nothing in my power could have kept me sober. God is the only one that can do that, and God removed my obsession with drugs and alcohol. He can do the same for anybody with any situation in their life. I hope by doing this interview and many more to come that I'm able to spread the strength and hope and courage that I have to anyone who's willing to watch. There's three kinds of people in this world that I feel really get swept under the rug: addicts and alcoholics, homeless people, and people with disabilities. These people face situations that most of us can't even imagine every single day, and they pull through. And I want to share that hope that they have and the courage that they have to just live out their lives every single day with the world. I think the world could use more positive stories. I think they could use strong, courageous people who get overlooked, who just work regular 9-to-5s, who aren't famous, who aren't rich, who don't have all these things, but yet they're stronger than most. I think these people need a voice, and I want to give it to them. So I'm going to continue making these interviews, and I don't want to ask anybody to do something I wouldn't do personally, so that's why I started with myself. And I hope to continue throughout 2025, interviewing anyone and everyone that's willing to share their testimony and to give hope to anyone listening to this video. If anything I shared in this video relates to you, you feel like you might have any sort of problem, the first thing you need to do is go to a meeting hall. They have AA, NA, CA, which is Narcotics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous, and they have these programs throughout the entire world. Go to a meeting and get you a sponsor, someone to help mentor and guide you through what they've already been through and are walking through every single day and can show you the way to sobriety. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, and work the steps, because they truly work. If you're still struggling to quit, reach out to a treatment center, and they can help figure out your insurance if that's an issue. They will help you with anything you need to get you in there. And I believe there are some free programs here in this country. So just reach out, make a phone call, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We all need help. We all struggle. We can't do this alone. I'm more than happy to help anybody who wants to reach out. So in the description or in the comments, I will leave my phone number and email. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm eager to hear what you have to say and just be a listening ear if you need. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you have a blessed day. I'll see you soon.